live. Okay, so allegedly I'm live. I wonder how that works. Killing time, killing time. Where's my flight? So I guess this is this, I guess? Okay. Nope. It gets locked, it gets unlocked. Who knows? So I'm at the Yiwu airport. I got a layover, and I want people to ask me anything in terms of sourcing in China, Amazon FBA. Let's show me the comments, please. So yeah, for the few of you guys that might not know me, my name is Nick. I live in China. Nick Nirov. I live in China. I've been doing Amazon FBA for about 2 years now, and right now it's just a layover at the airport. I had to catch a late flight to Guangzhou, China. Have some factories to visit there before I fly out to Tokyo in April. So I would love to hear anything about you guys. Is there? I think there's 3 people watching right now. I'm not really sure because I've never done a live before. I would love to see some questions if you guys got any in terms of I don't know, travel, digital nomadism, work online, Jungle Scout for product search. Yo, Austin, what's up, man? I saw one of your comments for one of my recent videos, dude. Thanks. Jungle Scout, yeah. So in my recent video, I've been mentioning that I want to do like kind of like a course, more or less, but it's like a YouTube video series where I basically just want to have the layout, like completely give everything away how I do it. So how I normally do it, this is, I guess, kind of a preview for you because I'm going to put this all in the next week. I'm starting to work on this. How I'm going to do it is basically you have Jungle Scout, you have keywords. So for the 6 of you guys that are tuning here's what I would do. So if you have merchant words, you go to merchant words and you type in ... in the search bar and then click search, and it'll actually give you all of the Amazon's top keywords listed from high whatever, or like baby products, and then type in ... and search on merchant words, and it'll give you. The man is also already selling an. Yes. So yeah, it would basically give you all the results. You can download those results and then use those one by one, and then use Jungle Scout. So yes, I would recommend. In terms of manufacturers, I think that manufacturers, the way, so from being in China, and from what I've noticed, Chinese, they sell very differently. It's very like hand-to-hand kind of combat, rather than online, especially on Amazon. Like, I have not seen yet a listing by a supplier who put a lot of effort into like photos, description. So if you see a Chinese supplier that's underpricing, most likely they're doing the bare minimum because they think that the way that the Americans buy is on cost, so they're going to minimize the cost. What you're competing on is brand, description, having your listing quality, whatnot. So yeah, I would absolutely go against any Chinese supplier any day because number one, if it's a factory that's in a listing, and you'll probably see like 3-4 photos of the product itself. It's probably going to be really shitty photos. You're not going to see much of a description. They don't have sales backer or what's it called, Jungle or Feedback Genius for reviews. So I would not hesitate taking on supply. Even Amazon, like when you scan with the Jungle Scout app, and it says that it's an Amazon seller, I would still probably, do the same thing. But tell me where you guys are at. Tell me like what stage are you at? I mean, there's clearly a reason why you guys watch my videos or you subscribe to my channel. Like, tell me what stage are you at right now, and like what's bothering you. Are you having trouble starting? Maybe there's like a internal fear. Maybe it's lack of money. Let me know a little bit about yourselves if you can, because having a conversation is a lot easier than just talking at the phone while I'm sitting here waiting for my flight. Anyone? researching potential products now. Can I privately message? Yeah, of course. I'm always open for it. Waiting on pictures, have viewed the samples, and have a PI ready to go. Not sure, make listing before I get photos. Um, Thank you, Bilan, from Toronto. Okay, thanks. I didn't read that last one. Okay, so yeah, the way that I would probably structure, the whole process is, first you gotta find about 20 suppliers on Alibaba, then start asking them questions about, assess their English, see if they can do FOB, local port, assess them on pricing, the quality of the material that they use. So this comes down to you also doing your homework and knowing what your products are made out of. Then I would basically assess it down to like top 3 suppliers and get them to send you samples, or send samples to somebody who's your friend either in Thailand or China, someone who's closer than the United States or Canada. Assess your samples, then you'll probably have to reiterate samples and then get reiterated samples from your top 2 suppliers that you've chosen. And then finally, when you get it, that final sample is what I would use for photos, because what's the point of having photos or even having a listing or even having an Amazon account if you're not, if you don't have your product on a ship already ready to go? Like, it's kind of like shifting into 5th gear from 2nd gear. It doesn't make sense. So number 1 is like, your product research on Amazon, phase 1, as I call it. Then you deep dive, you find like your little niche, the little things that you're gonna tinker with the product. Phase 2 is you go on Alibaba, you start finding those suppliers. You list out top 20. Out of those 20, you're gonna choose 10 that are decent. Out of those 10, there'll be maybe 3 or 4 that'll make the adjustments that you want. There'll be top 2 or 3 that you're happy with the price, you're happy communicating with them. And then you want to get a factory visit. QC is huge. Like, absolutely get a factory visit from another company if you have to. There's third-party companies that will do this for you. And then, so QC. Let's see, there's like this lady that's looking at me. This is such a China thing. It's like people will just watch you filming. Sorry, where was I? So get a third company for a couple of $100 to visit the factory. Make sure there's a factory and it's not a trading company. I know, right? Like, it always happens. Like, you guys would be surprised, especially that one time when there's a video that I'm working on right now that I filmed in front of my office, and it's just like, I'm looking past the camera, like past my GoPro that I'm filming on, and I'm seeing people like stop, like, and just staring for like the longest time. I'm like, dude, it's a white dude with a GoPro. Like, really? Is that the first time you've seen it? It's hilarious. But sorry, anyway, so you want to get the suppliers vetted, you want to get those samples. In terms of samples, this is a question that I get asked a lot, is why do I have to pay $50? No, it's weird. Trust me, Austin, you don't want to stare back at them. They'll zone out. They'll just do this. And you can't outstare them. Like, you cannot. I tried. I feel really weird. But in terms of samples, a lot of people tell me that, they say it's free sample, but then they charge me $50. Well, they're charging you for the FedEx air shipping fee. So don't be afraid to pay that. And if, like I said, after all that work of narrowing down 20 suppliers down to your top 2, top 3, it's okay to okay. So should you go ahead and process and on the way, even though I don't have any photos yet? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're doing the order from a supplier, yeah, absolutely. I would process it like you need the photos for the listing of your Amazon, and your listing is not going to be live anyway until Amazon receives the inventory in their warehouse. But for the other fella, sorry, I didn't catch your name. I was like, on the live, it basically comes up, the message, and then slowly fades away, and I don't know how to keep it there. But if you're making things grand as a dev, you have some money to play with. I think typically you want to okay, yeah. So you like, if you have some money to play with, it takes about $2 to $3 grand to launch a product. So I wouldn't hesitate to start the process of looking. And it's only at the end that you really need to put that money. And even if you don't succeed, I think the first product is all about breaking even and just getting a hang of it. A lot of people are so scared of starting because they don't have the experience of starting. So that's kind of like what bothers a lot of people. I'm just gonna take a little walk-see. up and down just to make sure my flight's not leaving. But if the supplier is asking for 50-50, break them down. That's not the standard. That is 100% bullshit. 30-70 is typical. Always use on your first order, especially. Always use. Yeah, so go for 30-70 always, and use Alibaba.com escrow payment, especially for your first one. If they want anything else like PayPal wire transfer, just don't. Just there's a lot of manufacturers that you can find. Just don't do it. Sorry, Jack, new subscriber. What was the question there? I just read it as I was. James, I probably messaged you. Yeah, James, go ahead, man. Facebook group, like by same name, Nick. You guys can all message me questions if you want. I'm sometimes slow to get to it, and I'm sorry for that. Because not only VPN, but I also use a very separate app for getting to my group messages. But like I try to answer as many. The best thing you can do is just comment on my videos. Just leave a comment and I'll answer it in there. I love answering comments. But Jack, if you can repeat your question, I read it and it kind of flew out of my head, and I'm sorry. Anybody interested? Slow days. Okay, yes. How do you list? Slow sales day. Okay, so for slow sales day, I would probably be handling that, looking into PPC campaigns. So quick note on PPC: when you guys are first starting, here's what I would do. Number one is auto campaigns for a week. Make sure that Amazon FBA understands your listing the way you want it to be understood. So turn on auto, which I'm sure you've done. With the slow days, so what I would do is basically afterwards you turn on the auto for a week, see if it understands it. About 5, 6, 7 top keywords will come up. Use those best keywords from the auto campaign, plug them into each one, then plug them into merchant words, download the full list that it gives you back. Don't even go through it, just download all of them. Make one master list after you do it for each term in the auto campaign. Make a huge master list. There'll be hundreds of terms, and then create a separate phase, broad and exact campaign. Phrase campaign should be at about $1, broad campaign should be at about $1, phrase at a 125, and then exact at 150. You're not going to spend anywhere close to that, but you just want to give Amazon enough money to play with to start the bidding, right? So do you have your campaign set up like that right now? Because if you do, you should not be having a lot of slow days. Thank you, Bylar. I appreciate it, man. So yeah, let me know if you have your campaign set up like this. You want to have the PPC always on, and you always want to be tweaking. Okay, so there was a bit of a... Welcome to China, guys. This is what happens. You get reconnected randomly. You get connected and unconnected and reconnected at the airport randomly. So, that's what's up. But yeah, where was I? I think I'm just walking over to check on my flight. But yeah, with the PPC campaigns, you should always have those on. You should always be checking. Thank you, Victor. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, anyone? Yo, no, what's up, man? Yeah, so no, we're still waiting. I think we were experiencing a bit of a delay here, so not taking off any time soon. Stay sexy, my friend. It's like that beer commercial, guys. Stay sexy, my friend. Just waiting in Yiwu, China, like literally middle of nowhere. World trade, middle of China. Everyone's like just like killing ground. But yeah, I guess since you guys are not super curious about Amazon, I mean, there's only so much you can say. Like I said, just be patient with me. For the next 2-3 weeks, I'm working on this, YouTube, like very detailed course on like how to do product research, how to find suppliers, what to look for, like everything that I've basically learned myself. I'm gonna create it, I'm gonna make it, but right now, China. Let's talk about China. China, like Trump says, China. China's cool. Sometimes I live in Guangzhou. Sometimes it gets a little lonely. I think so. I've told the story before in some of my videos. I have a friend of mine, Rico, who basically lived there for like 3 years now, and he kind of took me in. He had a separate bedroom, so I stayed with him in his second bedroom. He had an office, so I just pay for a desk space. I work from there. And I actually would really like this. This live thing is actually pretty cool. I think I'm gonna take you guys on a walk sometime on this huge kind of park in a world center thing that's across a dog. What up? That's across my office. But that's actually a really good question. Is Amazon crowded? I think Amazon as a marketplace a couple of years ago was a lot easier to get into, just on the fact that like if you want to just launch a random product. So here's how I started seeing it. So the first stage is you just want to find a product that works. 10 sales plus a day. You just want to find something to catch, right? And that's still possible. Think about it. Like every day, new solutions to new problems come up, and then niches and variations of those solutions are invented. And like Amazon will never like stop, but I also don't want you to think as Amazon is just like a marketplace, or sorry, is just like your business model. Amazon is just a marketplace that you basically launch a product, you test it, and then if it works, you add two, three other products on top of it, and then you create your own brand, and then you go to Amazon.com, Amazon.uk, Amazon Australia, which is what I'm in the process of doing right now, Amazon Japan, which is the third biggest, surprisingly, Amazon overall. And then you want to start coming off of Amazon. You want to create your own site, maybe go on Walmart. The Walmart.com is the second biggest e-commerce platform after Amazon. So, and then eventually, like brand is the end goal of everything. Like everything is going towards brand. Just because you have like a couple of products that are working on Amazon, you want to be looking forward to building a brand. Like that's where everything's going. Because my idea was coming to China and just launching a bunch of products that work on from Alibaba, and just going to suppliers and just like I find a product that works on Amazon, I launch it right away, and it's just having like an array of 5 to 10 products that are making, let's say, 5 to 10 grand every month. But it's like, yes, I can do that, and I can put in the time and the money into that, and the payout will be there. But as a package, when I come down to my exit, which will inevitably happen, and I want to sell my Amazon store and my brand, I don't really have a brand. All I have is an Amazon store with 5 to 10 products that are selling really well, and who's to say that eventually other users or other sellers won't come in with, let's say, like a random product, like a fishing rod. I'm selling a fishing rod for 5, 10K a month profit, and then somebody with an actual brand comes in and actually, does a competitive price, does competitive listing, and with his brand basically pushes me out of the marketplace. Well, I just lost the product. Like the brand is strong because people are loyal to it. And I think that's kind of the end goal, and that's what makes it $1 million business, I believe. So that's what I'm working on for the next year or 2 years, is going towards that brand, but also I think coming to China and being here on the ground and actually visiting factories and going through everything from Amazon search and Alibaba search down to visiting the factory, touching the product, editing the product, and then launching it out, and then seeing how it works, like basically from very beginning to the very end, and like knowing how that's done, and being a part of it and doing it myself. I think that's an education. Like, man, if I was 19 right now and I had a couple of grand in my bank account, I would probably come to China right away. This is probably the best free education that you could possibly get. Man, instead of paying 30 grand for, what was it, like, I think I spent 7 years in university. I paid about 32, 33 grand was my OSAP. So that's just OSAP, not to count like extra stuff that I had to pay. Yeah, you're welcome. I hope I answered your question. I know I tend to rant a lot. It's such a problem, but my mind goes in 1,000 different ways, man. But yeah, coming to China, I think, is not necessary. But if you have this love for product and manufacturing, and you want to be in this for the long term, like you want to be making products that you're passionate about. Let's say like you're a writer, you want to make amazing notebooks, or let's say you're a traveler, you want to make clothing or something like that. And the thing is, like right now, the way I'm starting to see it is, China's coming up in the world. They no longer want to be the factory of the world. So they're pushing a lot of their manufacturing down to Southeast Asia, like Malaysia, Vietnam, Indonesia. Like my new supplier that I just found, they have a factory that's getting set up right now in Indonesia, and they're going to be pushing all their production down to Indonesia. But still, even with that said, those factories are still owned by Chinese suppliers. So what's up? Like, uh, it's not like you go to Vietnam and it's like, oh, it's a Vietnamese factory, Vietnamese. Oh, nope. Like maybe 1 out of 10, but it's the Chinese money and the Chinese ownership that's behind it. So I think coming here and investing the time of like 2 3 years and like actually uh, getting to know the factory bosses, getting to know the people that run the show, and putting in the time to learn the world's hardest language, and putting in the time to, meet these people and build relationships with them over years will actually open up opportunities in the mid to latter part of your life, or my life, that will probably nobody else will get. It's like compound interest. Looking at only different areas, my bundle, high quality material. Bundle's good. High quality material is also good. I would probably try to see in terms of structure and use. How are people using your item? I would try to maybe do something with that. But bundles usually work really well. Especially look at the listing quality of people that you're competing with. If their listing quality is like subpar, even if it's 8 out of 10,